Our first banner for year 5 is the Love of a King Valentine's banner. This year we got Day of Devotion outfits for Alfonse, Henriette, Gustav, and duo Lif and Thrasir. This will be the first time Henriette and Gustav are playable, and they are the king and queen of Askr, which makes them Alfonse and Serena's parents. We'll be going over everyone on this banner, talk about their new skills, and discuss some build ideas and general playstyles. First off, we did get a surprise that was not mentioned in the Anniversary Fade channel. Altena has been demoted to the 3 to 4 star pool, which means the 4 to 5 star pool is officially gone. She's a high defense lance flyer who also has sturdy stance 2 if you want a nice and cheap base skill. For our 4 star focus unit, it's going to be Valentine's Alfonse. As a reminder, the new 4 star special rate is now live, and you can get 5 first summon tickets for this banner via the Valentine's Tempest Trials quest. Just beat the final map 5 times, easy peasy. As a unit, Valentine's Alfonse is a green armored mage, the second only green armored mage in the game behind Halloween Henry, and Alfonse is looking quite strong for a 4 star focus unit. His stats include 43 HP, 38 attack, 25 speed, 37 defense, and 31 resistance. He does have attack and speed super boons, and the speed super boon could provide some interesting options. For the most part, Alfonse is decently bulky, has good base attack, and as an army unit, he'll have some very powerful skills to abuse. Speaking of which, Alfonse comes with Moonbow as a special, and he'll be spamming those often thanks to Bold Fighter. Bold Fighter on a 4 star focus unit is certainly a statement considering our last 2 4 star army units only got the odd and even follow-up skills. It's an incredibly powerful skill with guaranteed follow-up attacks and increased special charge. For his weapon, Valentine's Alfonse has the Amity Blooms Plus. This 12 might green tome states if unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, inflict attack and res -5 on foe during combat, and when unit deals damage to foe, it restores 4 HP to unit. Honestly, this is a great inheritable tome, mainly because of the lack of inheritable tome options. You just need to be near any ally and you get -5 attack and res debuffs plus a little bit of healing on every hit. To be honest, this is sort of just a better Serpentine which has distant defense 3. Sure, you lose 1 defense and res point since it's only a -5 attack debuff, but Amity Blooms works on melee threats and on the player phase as well, plus you get more damage and healing. Very solid defensive option for any green mages out there, and it's great with a quick repulse type skill since that gets you double the healing. For the non-army mages, you can stack this with lulls and rain skills for lots of in-combat debuffs. For his new A skill, Alfonse introduces Defense and Res Form 3. If unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants Defense and Res plus X to unit during combat. X equals 2 times the number of allies within 2 spaces plus 1, with a max of plus 7 defense and resistance. Forms are alternatives to bonds since you just need to stay near your teammates. It has a bigger range, but you need 2 nearby allies to match the plus 5 stat boost from bond skills. For an armored mage who isn't moving around much, it should be pretty easy to get plus 5 or plus 7 defense and res from this skill, so it's a fine option for Alfonse. In general, Valentine's Alfonse is looking like a rather bulky armored mage. Defense and res form with Bold Fighter is a little weird, but it can work. For a pure enemy phase type build, you could use Defense and res form with Vengeful Fighter or Crafty or Slick Fighter, which are both on this banner. These are souped up quick repose armor skills. Crafty Fighter gives guard, Slick Fighter neutralizes stat penalties, and Vengeful Fighter increases your special charge. Go with the new Brazen Stance 2 Sacred Seal plus a Res Refine for Amity Blooms, and you get 1 tanky bench lord. If you want to embrace the Bold Fighter playstyle, Alfonse can use Amity Blooms just fine, but you do need to stay near teammates. Armor March provides more mobility options, but extend too far and the weapon won't activate. As usual, Bold Fighter is great with Death Blow skills, and you can just go with the Green Blade Tome for big burst damage. Last, no surprise, Alfonse can definitely run close counter. Amity Blooms is an amazing weapon for that skill, and you can run Special Fighter as well with quicker posts if you still wish. Also with Special Fighter, Alfonse could be interesting with a plus speed super boon and some merges. 29 speed isn't unworkable, and some speed investment does help avoid getting doubled by absolutely everyone. Overall, Valentine's Alfonse makes for a nice 4 star focus unit. Rare class type, a really good inheritable weapon, and then you got Defense and Res Form and Bold Fighter to top it off. Honestly, it's pretty good value. Next is Valentine's Henriette. The Queen of Askr is ready to throw down, and she would be a red armored mage. For stats, Henriette has 42 HP, 40 attack, 18 speed, 35 defense, and 40 resistance. She ties her kids, duo Alfonse and Serena, for highest defense mage in the game, and also ties for highest base resistance for a mage as well. She does have a res super boon, so Henriette can be a monster magic damage tank. Henriette's only our 2nd red armored mage, right behind Winter Thrasir, but Henriette is basically Winter Thrasir 2.0 with higher stats everywhere with but 1 HP, very min-maxed, and she uses all those stat points very well. For old skills, Henriette has Icebreaker as her special, to no surprise. She comes with Distant Defense 4, so she'll be a true range tank, and she has Slick Fighter 3, which is quicker pulse with the ability to neutralize stat penalties. Very strong base kit. For her weapon, Henriette has Unity Blooms Plus, which is actually just the red version of Alfonse's Amity Balloons. With her min-max stats, Henriette arguably runs the weapon better, and she'll be able to use it effectively just fine. If you are interested in a blue tone version of this weapon, well, don't worry, because Valentine's Veronica from the Tempest Trials has that variant. Pretty rare for us to get all 3 colors of a seasonal inheritable weapon. Next we have the big mama new skill line of this banner, AR Far Save 3. If foe uses bow, dagger, magic, or staff and initiates combat against an ally within 2 spaces of unit, triggers Savior on unit. If unit triggers Savior, grants +4 attack and res during combat. Oh boy, so first off, these new save skills are for arm units only. If you watch the trailer or Fate channel, these skills basically let the user fight for any ally within 2 spaces. Henriette has the ranged foe version, while Gustav's gonna come with the melee version. As for the savior mechanic, there are some things to keep in mind. When the user flies into a fight, they take the ally space, and from what I've read, apparently this means solo skills will deactivate, but bond skills will still work. Additionally, all after combat effects only affect the savior. For example, I tested Jafar's Deadly Dagger, and only Henriette would receive the dagger debuffs and poison strike type damage. The savior is going to tank status effects too, so if I hit someone with Witchy Wand, which applies an AoE guard status, the ally that gets saved by Henriette actually won't get touched by the guard status afterwards. This is actually pretty important and something you need to keep in mind. Next bullet point, Savior will not trigger if allies on a terrain unit can't move to, or if multiple units are able to use Savior during the same combat. Basically, Henriette can't save a flying unit if the flyer is over mountains or water. Also, if you have 2 units with Far Save 3 and they are both in range of a teammate, then neither of them will work. For this reason, you should probably just use one Far Save user on the team. Last point, if Savior triggers after combat, effects do not occur. This is another big effect because basically attackers cannot use lunge, drag back, knock back, or hit and run, which doesn't even move the enemy. Honestly, these skills are gonna be a huge pain. They are very powerful because, for example, I can send out a tank only focused on dealing with melee attackers. They won't need distant counter because Henriette will fly in to fight any ranged foes. She is the distant counter. Valentine's Henriette is built with this concept in mind, and she's meant to use this new Far Save skill. With Unity Blooms, Distant Defense 4, and Slick Fighter, she is a prime enemy phase range tank, which is exactly what you want for your Far Save user. She will protect the team from all ranged attackers, and Distant Defense 4 gets rid of enemy field buffs, while Slick Fighter removes Henriette's own stat penalties, so she puts everything on an even playing field. With the -5 attack from her weapon and the extra healing, Henriette is one sturdy ranged tank. For her Sacred Seal, you can go with a bond skill or just stack Distant Defense 3 to laugh at the poor ranged attackers. If you want to have guard in the build, you have 2 options. One is a tier 3 dual stance like Brazen Stance 3, or you can go with Crafty Fighter instead. As a better Winter Tharja, Henriette is easily able to run close counter builds, and Unity Blooms does support that playstyle. If you see Valentine's Henriette and you have ranged attackers, you have to be prepared to fight her because she's gonna fly in to intercept any hits on her teammates. The Queen is not messing around. To complement Henriette, we have Valentine's Gustav. He will be a green axe army unit, and the King of Askr is a beast. He has 49 HP, 41 attack, 18 speed, 46 defense, and 31 resistance. Gustav's gonna have an attack super boon, and 46 base defense is the new highest in the game. Oh boy, another min-maxed monster, and Gustav's gonna get his own unique weapon too. For old skills, Gustav has Ignis, which is already a 36 damage Ignis proc. It's gonna get only higher because he has close defense 4, and he has Crafty Fighter 3, which is the guard plus quick repose armor skill. Top tier skills which only complement his kit further. Gustav's gonna have the Loyalist Axe, and this is a 16-hit axe that accelerates specials. If foe initiates combat or if foe's HP is above 75% HP, inflict -6 attack and defense on foe, and if foe can make a follow-up attack, then reduce damage from the foe's first attack by 75%. Yikes, because 46 defense wasn't enough, Gustav also gets 75% damage reduction on the first hit on him. It should be nigh impossible to one-shot this dude unless you somehow don't double him, and that's a feat in itself because 18 speed is very low. With faster specials and -6 attack and defense, Gustav is ready to brawl, but a second hit special proc could cut him down. Brave Edelgard has 80% damage reduction on follow-up attacks because that can save her from special procs in this scenario, but Gustav solves this issue by bringing Crafty Fighter, which has guard. 75% damage reduction on hit 1, and low chances for a special proc on hit 2 will make him very hard to take down. To complement Henriette, Gustav has DR Near Save 3, exact same mechanics, but Near Save only works against melee initiators, and this variant grants +4 defense and res when activated. Like we talked about, Gustav can swoop in to protect any allies from melee attackers, and his kit is already ready for melee tanking. If you use the king and queen together, they can just save each other. Gustav deals with melee threats while Henriette deals with ranged threats. You don't need close or distant counter because these skills allow the user to fight for allies. If you got a bunch of ranged units, Gustav can protect them from melee attackers. Now, something I think may work if stacking these savior skills with rain types debuffs. Basically, the AoE in combat debuffs like Tharja's Hex or Archer Hineka's New Refine can work on allies because it affects the enemies in their range. Well, Savior just lets the user fly to the same space as the allies, so I assume these debuffs will be activated. For example, Hineka's Refine inflicts -4 attack and speed and defense, and if you give her attack and speed rain, that's another -4 attack and speed. If Gustav uses Savior on Hineka to fight an enemy, he should benefit from all of those in combat debuffs as well. If that works, that is a disgusting combo to watch out for. For the most part, Gustav is the melee counterpart to Henriette. He's got the attack and defense debuffs plus damage reduction of close defense 4, crafty fighter, and near save to use it on allies. Like we mentioned, crafty fighter's guard effect helps cut down on potential for enemy second hits that activate specials. Gustav's going to be a monster defensive unit, and with near save, you have to deal with him first. Now, Loyalist Axe does have a lot of potential outside of this build. With faster specials, Gustav could opt for special fighter and bonfire because after one hit, he's going to proc bonfire in the counter. If you really want, the guy could run distant counter with this build to burst down range threats and pair it with quicker posts for insurance. I think Gustav is a great user of the tier 3 dual threatens if you run special fighter. This skill makes it so baiting one movement armors to attack first means you get hit by -5 defense, the army unit gets +5 attack, and Gustav already has high base damage. For something more proactive, Gustav also can be a great bolt fighter Gale Force army unit. 4 cooldown Gale Force with 75% damage reduction on the first counter should keep him alive very easily, and he should have the damage to just destroy non-tanky units. While Gustav will be a great user of the new Savior skill, Loyalist Axe makes him quite versatile if you want to change things up. Last up is Valentine's duo, Lif and Thrasir. The Generals of Hell are back, and this time they are a Red Mage Cavalier. For stats, duo Lif has 39 HP, 39 attack, 25 speed, 30 defense, and 25 resistance. Very high attack with okay defensive res. Also, not unsalvageable speed, which can actually be quite useful. For old skills, this duo has Glimmer, attack and defense push 4, and low attack and res 3, already getting harder to take down while ensuring they have a ton of upfront damage. For Lif's weapon, which I already gave up on pronouncing, it's a 14 tone with another +3 attack. If Lif is within 3 spaces of an ally, a couple things are going to happen. First, Lif gets +6 to all stats during combat. Second, he makes a guaranteed follow-up attack. Third, he reduces the percentage of foes reduced damage by X% skills by 50%. And fourth, after combat, if Lif attacks, he deals 20 damage to the nearest ally. Quite the short story there, but it's a very powerful weapon at the cost of Lif's poor teammates' health. Guaranteed follow-up attacks, +6 all stats, and our first % damage reduction skill. We'll probably see that ability a lot more this year. Basically, just cut the % damage reduction amount in half, so the standard 40% damage reduction from close call skills becomes 20%. Fallen Leon's 50% damage reduction against range threats becomes 25%. Brave Ike's 40% damage reduction on hit 1 becomes 20%, and his 80% damage reduction on hit 2 becomes 40%. Honestly, dual Lif kinda just messes with Brave Ike because not only does he have his damage reduction abilities, Brave Ike lets him attack twice in a row, so Lif can just outright kill him thanks to this color advantage and high attack. This is actually a pretty strong ability, and it works even on Gustav's axe. It's important to note that this does not affect specials, so Fjorm's new Ice Mirror 2 will keep the full 40% damage reduction, and same goes for Legendary Corman's skill. While dual Lif can initiate from very far away, he must be within 3 spaces of an ally, so he can't just fly across the map without care. You do need to plan a bit more carefully. Further, dual skill when activated deals damage to foes within 3 spaces equal to 10 plus 50% of total damage dealt to HP of allies within 3 spaces, max of 40 damage. Additionally, inflict -7 attack and speed on foes within 3 spaces of unit through their next actions. Alrighty, so we got all kinds of maths going on for dual Lif, and this time we have to calculate how much HP Lif's allies have lost. They need to have lost a total of 60 HP between everyone within 3 spaces to get the maximum 40 damage proc. Because Lif's weapon deals 20 damage to the nearest ally, you can think of that of like adding 10 damage to this dual skill. If Lif applies his 20 damage to 3 allies, that's going to be 60 HP lost total. This is one of the more involved dual skills out there. You need to plan on allies actually being on low HP to get the most out of it, but even if everyone is full health, at worst this skill is a 10 damage AoE splash plus a big -7 attack and speed debuff. Not bad at all, but obviously the more HP Lif can inflict, the better chances you can just score a big one-shot KO. Now dual Lif and Thrasir also bring a new C skill, Fatal Smoke 3. Foe cannot recover HP during or after combat, and after combat inflict deep wounds on target and foes within 2 spaces of the target. Deep Wounds is a new status that prevents the unit from recovering HP until their next action. Fatal Smoke can be used on everyone but healers, and this is another pretty annoying skill. It basically hard counters any healing specials since they will heal for 0 HP, and after combat, Deep Wounds prevents health recovery from healers or even the Aether Raid's healing structure. If you run a unit that relies on health recovery, then Fatal Smoke really messes them up. For example, the Inheritable Tomes from this banner heal 4 HP per hit, but Fatal Smoke completely stops that. There are still some ways to get around Deep Wounds. You can use Odd Recovery or Sarah's Keel Staff since those cleanse status effects before the healing, and the same goes for Dual Arm skill. You can also always end turn immediately as well, but this does shut down healing towers since they heal at the start of the turn, so someone like Kronya would like this skill a lot. You can also just KO the Fatal Smoke user to avoid Deep Wounds, but in combat Fatal Smoke denies all healing and you cannot stop that. As the start of the banner, you really don't have to swap any skills out on dual Lif and Thrasir. Their weapon is very powerful, messes up a lot of units who depends on those percent base damage reduction skills. Keep in mind with the +6 speed and -7 speed debuff via the dual skill, dual Lif can be deceptively fast, and because he can guarantee follow-up attack, he can win the speed check against units who run Warrior Fighter type skills. You can even run Desperation if you really want to have some fun. In terms of defense, this duel is also deceptively tanky as well. +6 defense and res, -7 attack debuffs, +7 defense from the push skill, and low attack make for a strong unit. You can definitely take a good hit before getting their second hit off. As for Fatal Smoke, well, it counters anyone trying to heal in combat, and that can mess up strategies afterwards. Maybe you could do a super weird advantage build using the dual skill and Fatal Smoke for insurance. If you don't care about healing, you can just run anything like Attack Smoke, a Joint Drive, or a Rouse buff. For A skills, attack and defense push is great, but for longer fights, it can be detrimental. Attack and defense solo or maybe the attack and defense unity skills could be good alternatives. Ultimately, the hardest part of using dual Lif and Thrasir will be managing their 20 recoil damage on allies. If you run a Desperation user, then maybe it works in your favor, but if Lif is closest to a tank, then that's not good. In Aether Raids, at least you have the healing tower to heal multiple units if needed. Overall, I feel like dual Lif is strong because he does really well against certain green units, namely Brave Ike, who depends on damage reduction to function. In a similar vein, Lif should do well against Brave Edelgard or Valentine's Gustav with their big damage reduction effects. Since he has a guaranteed follow-up, he can bypass Brave Fighter, and again, the extra speed can benefit them quite a bit. If you want to play a dangerous game, Lif can use his damaged allies to drop that big 40 damage nuke in a wide area. This combined with Fatal Smoke can easily win an arena match for you if you have some allies who can follow up. Very interesting cavalry unit, although you need to use him wisely or you could screw up the rest of your team. That's it for this banner breakdown. Out right now is the accompanying Tempest Trials, and it has first summon tickets tied to the quest, so do go get those first. You can also earn Valentine's Veronica as the free reward unit. Let me know what you think about these Valentine's units, and let me know if I missed any key interactions with our new skills, because there are quite a lot of possibilities I couldn't test. I'll be back to talk about the Tempest Trials in just a bit, so I'll see you guys later.